and welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. You know, excuse me, if you watch TV and you watch some old movies that are really kind of cool, there's a movie called Boys Town. And if you're old as dirt like me, you've seen it at least once. At least once. Well, sometimes when you see a movie, you think, that's just a movie. But Boys Town is a real thing, over 100 years old. And with me, the beautiful lady next to me, she's nowhere near 100 years old, trust me. But you run Boys Town.
Well, I run a department of Boys Town.
Right.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So it's Rebecca
Yes.
Harley.
Harley, like the motorcycle.
And you're with Boys Town.
Yes, sir.
Of Florida?
Of South Florida.
Of South
yes.
Florida. Okay. So Boys Town has been around how long? About?
Boys Town has been around about 107 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been around for quite some time.
Why? Why did you decide to go work there?
Well, I mean, the mission is really why most people stay at Boys Town. I mean, the legacy is extremely rich. We believe in caring for families with the utmost compassion, empathy, and then we have quality services based on the science that helps families get well.
Well, it's 107 years old, so obviously they've come up with things that work.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how long are you with them?
14 years.
Okay, so she started when she was 2. Okay, when you told me that you have a 19-year-old?
Yes.
I couldn't even believe that.
Yes.
Okay, so you started 14 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen a lot of changes since then in Boys Town?
Well, somewhat. I mean, the mission never changes. What drives us never changes. We have so many strong people that believe in what we're doing, which is changing the face of how we care for American families. So, I mean, the mission has stayed the same. Over time, we have just kind of evolved in utilizing technology to the fullest, really trying to embrace the technology in order to reach families in a way that we couldn't before.
Right.
But other than that, the science is sound. We're continuing research in other areas. You know, we have a research hospital and various departments, and the goal is to have a spectrum of services that could touch any family at any level of services in terms of what they need for supports.
So I believe one of the changes that you've gone through is it's not about brick and mortar building anymore. It's about touching people on their home ground where they live.
Absolutely.
So what's your function within the company?
So I currently oversee in-home family services, which is a program we deliver actually, throughout South Florida, but currently in Martin County as well. So the in-home family services program is unique in that we go in the home environment with the family. We do assessments to determine the areas that are challenging for the family, and then we determine the areas that the family is extremely strong. We use an evidence-based model in order to support the family by teaching them the appropriate parenting skills that they might need. We connect them with resources and supports that are critical to strengthening them in the areas that they are struggling. And mostly we do it all while building a relationship by doing life with the family, encouraging them, empowering them, and connecting with community stakeholders. We're very collaborative. So we are staying in contact with therapists, with counselors, with school-based supports that the family needs so that we're all on the same page. And the goal is that by the time we leave, the family should have a very strong social network that will keep them healthy even after we're gone.
Okay, so what goes through your mind when you finally finish with a family and they've gotten to the point? How does that feel?
It's very overwhelming. Families usually don't want us to go. It's very emotional for them because a huge element of what we do is relationship based. So, we get to know them, they get to know us, we become their biggest cheerleader, so to speak.
And you almost probably become part of their family.
Absolutely. So it's a delicate balance, but the model really wants us to empower families. So we try to help them see us as a support that is always here if they need us. That's where we remind them, listen, we're not going anywhere. We've been around for a long time, If you ever need us, we are always available for you. But it's just really beautiful at the closing visit. We do very unique outings with them within the community. It's very celebratory at the end of services with them because we want them to recognize how they've accomplished what they set out to do for their family, which is kind of transform problems and challenges into something that is different, that is their vision for their families. It usually results in better communication between them and the children. It usually results in a higher self-esteem and empowerment from the parent. They feel like, I know what to do now when these things arise. Like I said, we really are strength-based, so we make sure that they now know the appropriate contacts and resources that are in their community. So they're always in a better place by the time we leave.
Is it hard to turn the table? You know, you have an 11-year-old,
Yes,
and we know what it's like bringing up kids.
absolutely.
And it's not easy for lack of a better word, in a normal scenario. So when you're already 6 steps behind and they come to you, is it hard to turn that table? Is it hard to get, I hate to say it this way because I don't want to blame just the children, but is it hard to get the children and the parents under control, for lack of a better word, so that they get on the right path to get to where they need to be? Or are they amenable to what you come in and want to do?
Well, it depends. Sometimes they are not always amenable because nobody wants to feel like they are the problem. So that's where we rely on the relationship building, really just making sure everybody feels heard. We listen to the parent, we listen to the child. It's usually a combination of things that are causing the family to struggle. Sometimes it's just outlook and perspective and communication style, but other times it's elements like undiagnosed mental health issues, trauma, and all of those other elements that they can't necessarily control without support. So that's why those assessments are so important, because we go in and we figure out what are the factors that are causing the family to struggle, and then we try to address those.
Do you deal with a lot of single parents?
Absolutely, yes.
Which is pretty sad because being a parent is extremely difficult. Being a single parent is just brutal. You know, I work with an organization, we give cars to single moms.
Oh, wow.
We've given away about 150 cars so far
That's amazing.
in all the years. And you got to understand, it's mainly single moms, but there are single dads too.
Absolutely.
And you got to take the kids to school, doctor, and you have to have a job because you have to work. So it is not easy. Do you deal with any, and I could be so off the mark here, with any seniors? Like, or is it just kid age parents and kids?
So the family dynamic over the past few years has really shifted. So we do have more grandparents and, aunts and people that didn't necessarily birth the children that are the primary caregivers, that have stepped up and said, I will own this child and I will rear them. So in that way, yes, we do. We are prepared to support the family regardless of the caregiver being the biological mother or father. So we do support grandparents and great aunts, whomever is stepping up to the plate and saying, I will be the primary caregiver for the child. Does that present some challenges? Yes, absolutely. What we're teaching them does kind of step outside of what they might be used to. A lot of the techniques and things that we're trying to teach them to embrace might be foreign to them. So again, that's why it's so important to bridge that gap with a strong relationship, listening to them, understanding where they come from, and also recognizing that we're not there to help them shape our vision for what's best for their child. We want to hear what their vision is.
And make that the best.
Absolutely.
Do families within the program connect with one another?
No.
Okay.
No. Everything that we do is confidential. We do not share or disclose any of the information and the personal experiences that they share with us without a signed release or permission. The collaboration that we do is also done with their permission and their signed consent. So sometimes we'll hold staffings and just present the opportunity for everyone that's supporting the family to share what their goals are, what their progress is, and what their barriers are. But it's all done with the permission of the families.
The kids, because you've dealt with 14 years. What age is the toughest?
I would say it varies. I
Does
wouldn't
it?
say any particular age is the most challenging.
Can I put you on the spot and say
Yes.
who's more difficult, boys or girls?
I would say it varies.
Okay, so being a parent,
Okay.
the only thing that I know
Uh-huh.
is that for some reason girls between 12 and 18, 19 are brutal. Very tough.
I can relate.
Okay. And I have the most amazing daughter. She's in her 30s now,
Absolutely.
but she grew up in that materialistic, spoiled phase. And she grew up and donated her kitty to her mom.
Oh, wow.
She became a real adult. Kids become people one day. Boys, I think, are more of a terror in the younger day, and like the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because as a boy, and I can barely remember back that far, you know, I remember climbing trees and eating dirt and stuff. So I don't know, and it's interesting to put someone on the spot like that. But those are the things that I would see that you probably come across a lot. But if there's the right input, they get out of that phase and they grow up. And you hope that that phase doesn't take them over into adulthood.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, how does it come about? Does someone call you and say, "Hey, we're having a problem. Can you come and talk to us?" Or, I mean, how do you know? Does a school call you and say, "Hey, Mary is, she's not right. There's something wrong. Would you go check on that?" I mean, how does it come to
So
you?
the way it works is we obviously try to spread the word by things that I'm doing here with you today.
Right.
Which is that we're here as a support. Anybody can refer someone to the program. They do not need to be high risk. They do not have to have tons of red flags. They simply need to be a family that is challenged in one or more areas and be open to the support of one of our trained consultants to come in. So we receive referrals from schools, from therapists, from neighbors. We receive referrals from people who've completed the workshop and said, "Hey, my friend could really benefit from this. I've already talked to her, give her a call." So there is no stringent process or qualifications. A family just needs to be open and available.
Does a lot of what you, not a lot of it, but does some of what you do come down because of financing and monies?
What do you mean? This program is free.
Right, but what I'm saying is, look, in a relationship, as an adult relationship, when money is tough, other issues fall into place.
So you're asking, is that one of the biggest stressors?
Is that one of the stressors
families?
that you have?
Absolutely. Finances is definitely a stressor for a lot of our families. And it's unfortunate that we're not in the position to provide financial assistance. However, we are able to support them in a lot of other areas. So we are able to support them in connecting to vocational and educational resources. We are able to support them in linking with other community resources that do have finances that might be able to help them. We're able to teach parents about budgeting and just really identifying needs and wants. A lot of what we do is skill-based. So what you were talking about before in terms of kids going through these phases and just really kind of learning what the world is about and all of these elements that we want them to have right away, consultants are able to go in and teach parents how to create opportunities and experiences for the kids that will teach them that. They don't just wake up one day and are 16 years old and say, "Oh, I believe in sharing and I'm compassionate and, I give back to the community." We as parents and caregivers create those opportunities through our communication and interaction with them, through modeling those opportunities for them, and just really creating those experiences for them so that they evolve into a character that we want and that we support.
So it's really a hand up, not a hand out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Very much so.
It's really about
Teaching them how to fish.
right.
Yes.
Okay. So, and with the charity I work with that gives cars to single moms, the philosophy is you give a single mom a right to work. She works for a day. You give her a car, you change her whole life.
Absolutely.
Okay. So You don't want to just give somebody $500 and say, all right, go, because that doesn't fix the problem.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's just really a Band-Aid. Okay, well, at the top of our time, how do people find you? You have a phone number?
Absolutely. Boys Town of South Florida can be reached at 561-610-6000. I'm Rebecca Harley. You can email me at rebecca.harley@boystown.org.
Everybody, this is not about them trying to be better than you. This is about them trying, in my opinion, trying to put you on a level play so that then they can walk away and you can have the dreams and life that you really deserve. Okay? And it's okay to ask for help. It's always okay to ask for help. Nobody can do everything on their own. Look, I'm blessed. I have a great team. Okay. This company wouldn't run that way if I didn't have the team that I have.
Absolutely.
So it goes back to sometimes it just takes a village.
Absolutely.
Rebecca, I want to thank you for coming on.
I want to thank you for having me.
Everybody,
it was a pleasure.
Check them out. We'll be right back.